hello, good afternoon or morning to some of you, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome to the Rensselaer Medal Open House. I am just going to give us a few moments to let everyone log in, but I am so excited to see that we have so many wonderful students and families joining us virtually this year. Just some quick reminders while everyone gets settled. Be sure to use Google Chrome or Firefox for the best results. You are not on audio or video, lucky you, but if you have trouble hearing or seeing myself or any of our speakers today, step one is always to refresh your browser, and step two is to close the tab and re-enter using the original link from your email. We have a live chat happening today on the left side of your screen. We approve all chats before they go public. It's a moderated chat. So if you don't see it right away, don't send it again. It has been sent and we will get to it. We may be answering some questions out loud. We may be answering some questions in the chat via text, depending on what they're related to. So my name is Alex. I am an assistant director of admissions and director of the Rensselaer Medal program. And before we get too deep into today, I have a special message for all of you from our Vice President of Enrollment, John Wexler.
Good morning. I'm John Wexler, Vice President for Enrollment Management at Rensselaer. On behalf of our President, Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson, faculty, staff, and students, let me be the first to officially welcome you to the Rensselaer Medalist Open House. This year marks the 104th anniversary of the Rensselaer Medal. Like everything else in 2020, this year's Medalist Open House is like never before. Today we have students from every state and 10 countries joining us virtually. Today's event will be the largest Medalist Open House we have ever had. Being named a Rensselaer Medalist, you are eligible for Medalist Scholarship of $30,000 a year. That equals $120,000 over 4 years and $150,000 for students in our BArch program upon gaining admissions to Rensselaer. Before we go on for the day, I want to provide you some updates to our admissions process that have changed this year. First, you should know that this year RPI is test optional. This means students applying to RPI have the option of providing us their SAT or ACT scores if they wish to have them reviewed by the admissions committee. If you have not had the opportunity to take the SAT or ACT due to COVID-19, not to worry. You will not be required to submit them. We also have many key admissions deadlines for the upcoming year. First, we offer two deadlines for early decision, November 1st and December 15th. If you apply and are accepted via early decision, we expect you to pull back your applications to all other institutions for which you have applied. Early action is December 1st. Students who apply early action will have their applications reviewed and a decision made by January 30th. Unlike early decision, students who are accepted via early action have until May 1st to submit their enrollment deposit. Finally, we have regular decision, January 15th. Students who apply by regular decision will find out their admission status by March 6th and have until May 1st to submit their enrollment deposit. You may or may not know that Rensselaer is the first engineering and technology-focused university in the United States. Thus, we are the oldest, as we were founded in 1824. The graduates of Rensselaer have done great things to help change the world as we know it. They have built the Brooklyn Bridge, the Ferris wheel, Fenway Park, Old Yankee Stadium. They've invented sunscreen, swipe card technology, the digital camera, and even Guitar Hero 3. Our graduates lead companies such as Marvel Comics, United Airlines, IBM, Harley Davidson. And for those of you that are dog fans, you'll be happy to know that one of our graduates was the founder of the company BarkBox. Within the class of 2024, we have more than 200 medalists, and we anticipate even more this year. While we are rich in history and accomplishments, we also continue to be cutting edge in how we prepare students for a technology-dependent world. U.S. News & World Report ranked Rensselaer in the top 50 National Research University. We're number 40 in the country for best value in higher education. Let me give you some examples of our undergraduate programs that have been recognized nationally. Forbes just ranked RPI number 14 top STEM college. U.S. News & World Report ranked our undergraduate programs in engineering top 30 in the country. Animation Career Review ranked our Games, Simulation, and Arts and Science program number 9 in the country. Design Intelligence ranked our architectural program number 14 in the country. Our Information Technology and Web Science program was ranked number 1 in the country by College Choice. Return on investment in an RPI degree has never been greater. Students at Rensselaer have the opportunity to do research, internships, co-ops at some of the most desired locations and companies in the world. This has led students who graduate from RPI to be on the cutting edge of technology throughout the world. Parents may be interested to know that last year, the average starting salary for our graduate entering the workforce was $70,000. So as you can see, it's an exciting time to be at Rensselaer. You are probably asking, when do I get my medal? All the medalists are awarded at this honors convocation during your freshman year. Once again, congratulations on behalf of all those at RPI. We look forward to welcoming you on campus, and we hope you continue to stay safe and healthy.
All right, wonderful. So for those of you who joined during our welcome, that was our Vice President of Enrollment, John Wexler. My name is Alex. I am an Assistant Director of Admission at Rensselaer, and I am also the Director of the Rensselaer Medal Program. So just as John said, today is a celebration of you and of your academic accomplishments thus far. It's an opportunity for you to learn more about Rensselaer and all that we have to offer educationally, experientially, and community-wise. I am broadcasting to you this afternoon, or morning for some, from Troy, New York, where our campus is located. The city of Troy is populated by around 50,000 people, which makes it feel like a large, lively, walkable town. And it is rich in history due to its strategic location on the Hudson River. 15 minutes by car from Albany, our state capital, 3 hours to Manhattan, to Boston, and even to Montreal. We are centrally located in a part of New York State that is full of technological growth. There are a number of colleges and universities in this area, in addition to Rensselaer, which means that our local economy is built to serve not only our residents, but to support the college student experience. Today, I am joined by our admissions and financial aid team, our current students, our faculty, our student life staff, and we are all super thrilled to have this opportunity to share as much information as we can with you about the ways in which Rensselaer can help you prepare to change the world. Now, the Rensselaer Medal is our single highest merit scholarship, and it is awarded to one student per Medal High School each year. It is valued at $30,000 per year, and it stays with you all 4 or sometimes 5 years that you pursue your education here. The Rensselaer Medal does not guarantee admission, though being a medalist does allow you to waive the $70 application fee when you apply. Should you be admitted and choose to enroll, your award will be applied to your aid package, and as John said, your physical medal will be distributed to you in the fall of your first year here. Once you are named a Rensselaer Medalist, you are always a Rensselaer Medalist. If you choose to take a gap year, or if you go elsewhere and transfer to Rensselaer later, this award is still yours, and we do hope that you will use it. When you registered for this event, you chose from a number of sessions. We are in the first session right now, which will become our academic overview once I finish talking. After this, we have 2 time blocks with an optional third, all full of sessions, which include our admissions and financial aid process, a session on medical school and the healthcare field, opportunities to learn from our students about their experiences here, presentations on current research happening at Rensselaer, ways to extend your medal scholarship, and even a session about Rensselaer's unique program, the Arts. After this session ends, you will move on to your session 2 at 1:45 Eastern. And the link to the session you registered for is in the email that contained the link for this session. At 2:35, our third session will begin, again with your unique login link in the same email. And at 3:25 Eastern, for those of you who signed up, our student ambassadors will be running a virtual tour for you to see our beautiful campus, since we are currently closed to visitors for the health and safety of our campus community. If you had a hard time choosing which sessions to attend, please know that all sessions will be recorded and posted on our YouTube later this week. There is so much for all of you to learn today, but I would be remiss to not highlight 2 very important things. First, each of you has a person on our admissions staff that reads applications from the area that you are from. You can find all of our contact information on the admissions website, and you can feel free to contact us directly with any questions. It is our job to answer these questions for you and to help make your college application process as stress-free as possible. Second, something particularly unique about Rensselaer is our academic calendar. While we are semester-based, all students at RPI participate in a summer semester between sophomore and junior year to make space in their schedules to pursue a variety of professional immersion opportunities during one semester of their junior year. This time and cost neutral program is called the ARC and allows our students one full semester of time to leave our campus and experience things like co-ops, internships, research, and other independent learning experiences without ultimately impacting their graduation date. I am so excited to have all of you with us today to learn more about RPI, and I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to join us as we present our first ever virtual Rensselaer Medal Open House. I'm now going to turn the mic over to my colleague, Greg Marcoux, who will introduce our academic panel and get started with our academic overview. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and here's Greg.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Medalist Open House. Again, 2020 is a unique year, so we're glad to have you today virtually. I'm one of the assistant directors of admission as well, just like Alex, and I have some great faculty panelists here that I'll bring on one at a time to go over their individual schools. They will spend a few minutes talking about their individual schools, and then we'll take some time for question and answers. Now, again, with the chat feature, it is a moderated chat, so if you've submitted a question, we already have it. Meg Whalen, who is one of our colleagues, another assistant director of admission, is going through and answering them as quickly as she can. She will save some of the more academic specific questions for the Q&A with the faculty later. So if you submit a question about your academic questions, we will get to them. It just will be after the session is over. So at this point, I'll talk. We have 5 schools on campus. We have our School of Architecture, our School of Science, our Lally School of Management, which is our business school, our School of Engineering, and our School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences. And then we also have a interdisciplinary program called Information Technology and Web Sciences, which doesn't really fit into any of the schools, so they will be presenting as well. So at this time, I'd like to bring on Dr. Kurt Anderson, one of our associate deans in the School of Engineering, to talk a little bit about the School of Engineering. I disconnected before, yes, yes. Is anyone else having trouble hearing Kurt, or is it just on my end? Okay. I see all your yeses. Perfect. Thank you. So, Kurt, if you could just refresh your screen, that would be great. On that, I will pass it off to Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences just so we can keep the panel moving. And then we will, so Brian Woods, could you please come on into the panel? So just to keep the panel moving. Thank you, Brian. And you can talk about our School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences. We'll hopefully get Kurt back in a little while.
Perfect. Well, thank you all for joining us today, and I'm happy to step in. My name is Brian Woods, and today I'm here to represent the School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences, commonly referred to here as Haas, where I am the manager of student services. So Haas programs, as an undergraduate, represent different minors, different majors in humanities, social sciences, and the arts. We collaborate and have dual majors for students from all of the schools at Rensselaer, and we have a core curriculum that is the common element, is one of two common elements in the course of study for all Rensselaer students. You would be entering Rensselaer next year, and one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is that common element of the first year experience at Rensselaer. Faculty across the Institute believe that the first year is an exhilarating time, certainly is, when students begin to ask all of these compelling questions, given these different perspectives that they are exposed to about the future, their future, the future of the world. Lots of that going on right now. And at Rensselaer, we want to confront those complex issues. Because we see that this is a time for you to really face these key challenges. It's an opportunity for you. So the faculty have developed a suite of courses known as Haas Inquiry. These courses are designed to help you confront such things as cross-cultural empathy, look at different challenges from a multiplicity of perspectives so that we can address these key questions facing society today. Haas Inquiry courses are a required component of the core curriculum, and it would be something that you would take in your first year, either in the fall or the spring. So a little bit more about Haas. The school is comprised of 5 different departments: Department of the Arts, Communication and Media, Cognitive Science, Economics, and Science and Technology Studies. It's also home to the Interdisciplinary Games and Simulation Arts and Science GSAS program. The school offers 13 academic programs or majors, as we commonly refer to them, which I'm going to talk a little bit about today, but I don't want to go into too much detail about that because of time, but we're going to talk more about this. So let's see. I do want to talk to you about the technology forward-looking aspect of our curriculum in Haas. At Rensselaer, we have taken advantage of attracting students who are not only intelligent, that is you, hardworking, that is also you, but students who are drawn to technology and are interested in the role of technology in society, in the arts, and in shaping human behavior. So we've created programs in humanities, arts, and social sciences that are distinct from programs at other schools in that technology is directly woven into the entire curriculum from first year to senior year. In many of those culminating experience courses that Kurt spoke of, we have those in humanities, arts, and social sciences. So 2 of the programs I wanted to highlight today with you are our 2 newest programs. We have Communication, Media, and Design, which takes essentially the best of 2 programs that we used to have, the Communication major and Electronic Media Arts and Communication, formerly known as EMAC. We've taken the best of both programs and we've created a new major called Communication, Media, and Design, where students take coursework in literature, strategic and creative writing, but also media, graphic design, interactive data design, and mixed reality design. So students come out with a broad range of skill sets, but the ability to have a depth in a particular field that interests them. I also want to talk about the Biotechnology and Health Economics major. This is a new, highly interdisciplinary program developed in collaboration with the School of Science. Students are taking coursework in biology, biomedical engineering, chemistry, but also economics and business. So they're going to learn a lot about the science underlying new and emerging technologies, as well as how the success of these technologies is shaped by economic policy and investment strategies. So some of the things I just want to focus on and leave you with as parting knowledge. You can certainly skip to the next slide at this point, just so we can showcase all of these exciting places that our graduates have gone on to work. Let's see. Haas programs foster skills that are critical for taking on leadership roles in industry in many of these places. When developing the curriculum, when developing our courses, we really like to think about the role that our students are going to play, not just in that first year and what type of opportunity they're going to have, but 5, 10, 20 years after they graduate. What role are they going to be able to play in society, in business, in government, and within their community? We have lots of courses focused on that community aspect, micro and macro. So students learn to think critically, communicate effectively about issues that are complex, global in significance, and require an interdisciplinary perspective, critical in today's world. You're going to develop into creative, socially conscious, responsible individuals. And the thing that I want to leave you with, this is not just for students who major in a degree from the School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences. Certainly you will get exposure to it if you were to dual major, if you were to minor in a degree from Haas, but the core curriculum really allows you as a graduate of Rensselaer to have looked at a breadth of opportunities and think about, how can I as an engineer, how can I as a computer scientist not only make myself more marketable, but really what is the role that I want to play in society, and how can I add a level to my knowledge, to my skill set, that tools in the toolbox that is going to allow you to stand out and make a difference in a world. So something we really try to think hard about in the School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences. And I look forward to answering all of your questions at the end of this. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. We will now go to Lally. So we have Clint, who is one of our faculty members from the Lally School of Management. Clint, if you could turn that broadcast on. Perfect. Got you here. So he will talk about our Lally School of Management. And Clint, just let me know when you need me to change your slide.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Just want to point out there's a deer head behind me, but it's actually a mechanical deer head, because I'm actually a recovering engineer and sort of a geek myself. So I like those kind of things. Anyway, welcome and congratulations. It is quite an accomplishment for you guys to be the top student in your school recommended for the medal. That's fantastic, and what a scholarship it is. So very happy to be in contact with you. When you get to campus, look me up. I'm in the business school, which is sort of hanging off the hill a little bit. So as you walk down the hill, you will see a beautiful building called the Pittsburgh Building. That's where the business school is. So we're on the campus, but we're sort of a little bit off the campus as you go down the hill. So yeah, I want to talk about our programs and things like that, but I want to give you a little personal story too, because I want to show you why I think Rensselaer is a good choice for you. So I went to school for engineering, much like you guys. I got a nuclear engineering degree. And I ended up getting a few summertime jobs working as a nuclear engineer. And I decided, man, I don't like it. I didn't like doing what BS nuclear engineers do. So I decided I'm going to keep going. So I went on and I got a PhD in nuclear engineering, which was great. And I liked it. And I liked my job too. So I mentioned that because the arts program will give you the opportunity to get off campus and to go actually see what happens in industry. You may want to modify your major, get a minor, do something else. You might be totally excited, which I hope you are. But it's good to find out, what you like and don't like in a career. So I kept going, got a PhD in nuclear engineering. Then something weird happened. I was working for a big company for 9 years, and I didn't want to move up. I didn't find any way to move up in the company. I didn't want to grow in the position, and I was just sort of bored. It just kind of left me flat. So I started my own company. What the heck do I know? I had a PhD in nuclear engineering. I wish when I was a student, I had taken a few business classes, but I never did. I didn't think much about business at the time, so I just kind of, whatever. I don't think I want to ever be a business person. But it turns out for the last over 20 years, I've been a business person. So I'm now the director of the undergrad program at the business school. So go figure. So like I said, recovering engineer, I would encourage you guys, if you ever think that you have managerial or business aspirations, dabble, take some classes. I mean, we're in the oldest technology university in the English speaking world. And we have a full out business school attached, which is fantastic, I think. So I'm fortunate to work here. You guys, I think, are fortunate to have this experience too. So we offer several programs. We have a BS in business and management, a brand new program, which is in a very hot area, business analytics. So business analytics is a hugely popular area right now for industry. Lots of industries are getting into it. It helps guide their decision-making processes and things like that. And we have a brand new accredited program started just this year. So business analytics program, national ranked, all accredited programs, et cetera. We have what we call coterm programs where you can get a master's degree while you're finishing up your BS degree. It'll take you an extra year. You could go get an MBA while you're finishing up your bachelor's degree. It takes an extra year and a half or so. So it's kind of a good option if you want to have some continued education, but still while being on campus, keeping your scholarship and everything else. So lots of different concentrations in our undergrad programs. Entrepreneurship, supply chain, a brand new one on sports management that we've just started, getting into some sports analytics, sports marketing, things like that. Marketing programs, finance, and management information systems. So lots of different choices. All right, next slide. I'm always impressed with where our students go, like for internships and for full-time jobs. Sometimes wish I'd go back to school. So they usually get pretty good jobs, and they get jobs at really interesting companies. We've had people go to SpaceX, Tesla, Deloitte, lots of people to Deloitte, Raytheon, Facebook, et cetera. So, and the salaries are typically pretty high. Like I said, business analytics seems to be a hot degree. We'll get more data as that rolls out. We have a very successful alumni network. One of the benefits of you guys being at this old institution is there's a big, very successful alumni network. So we have several in the business school, and you're going to meet several in the engineering school, science, and every other school on campus. And they're very tight knit, I would say. So we have good relationships with the Alumni Association, et cetera. So I bring alums into class all the time to talk about their experience and things like that. We do a lot of experiential learning through our programs as well, where you work on projects teamed up with companies, anywhere from, we did drug discovery company last semester to a company that wanted to sell more forest products. They had a wood company from Seattle that had a project for our students to do. So just a broad range of different types of projects we bring in to add some reality to your academic experience. So hope to see you on campus. Hope that you choose to be a business major, but I understand you're probably going to be science or engineering, which is great. Dabble with the business. Just get into it a little bit.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
That's all I got.
Next, we're going to go to architecture. So I'd like to invite Dean Douglas, who is our Dean of the School of Architecture, to present next about his school. And while Dean Douglas is coming in, I'm seeing a ton of questions. We're definitely not going to be able to get to all of them, but I'll kind of hit some general areas as we move forward. Seeing a lot of questions about demonstrated interest and things like that, and what that may look like in 2020. So attending this is going to be demonstrated interest, showing that you came to a fair. We also, if you do our virtual tour online, that'll show demonstrated interest. If you visit us while we're going on high school visits as counselors this year virtually, you can definitely count that as well. So there's other ways. Emailing, all that good stuff is a way to check on demonstrated interest. Questions about when campus is going to be open. Right now, we don't have a date. We don't expect to be open in the fall at any time. Dean Douglas, I do have you. Perfect. And then got a lot of questions about the scholarships, about you can add aid on. You cannot add merit aid on top of the medal. That medal is going to be the only merit scholarship. It's our largest merit scholarship we offer. And but you can get the need-based aid. If the need-based aid if your need is above what the scholarship is, there is possibility to get need-based aid as well. So again, I just want to answer those questions quick. And at this point, I will, Dean Douglas, if you just turn your video on, you'll be good to go. I can see you. You're perfect. Yeah, you're kind of choppy. I don't know if. All right, perfect. All right, so we'll then move on. We'll hit architecture later, hopefully, if we can get the technology worked out. So I'll invite Lee on, who is one of our associate deans in the School of Science. Lee, I'm pulling you in early. Yeah, D. Douglas, just hit the broadcast button and then refresh your screen. That would be my recommendation. Perfect. And then we will head off to Lee.
Okay, I'm here. You hear me? I hope you heard me. Okay, so welcome everybody and congratulations. It's really an amazing honor to be a Rensselaer Medalist, and so I want to be one of the first to congratulate you, and I hope you you join us here. So in the School of Science, you heard a little bit from my colleagues in other schools, and in particular, you heard initially from my colleague, Dr. Anderson, in the School of Engineering. And he told you about all of the different programs that the School of Engineering offers. And you might notice that there's a lot of similarity in subject area between the programs that are offered in the School of Engineering and the programs that are offered in the School of Science. And I think a lot of times people are unclear about what the difference is between being a scientist and being an engineer. And I think that coming to Rensselaer is a really good place to explore those differences and to really figure out what actually motivates you, what really drives you. So people who are interested in either engineering or science tend to be people who are really excited about science in the science classes that they have in school. But going into science versus engineering, they're slightly different. And I would argue that it's a difference in focus. It's a difference in approach. I would argue that as a very broad generalization, scientists tend to be really interested in kind of the fundamental knowledge of how things work. And engineers tend to be interested in taking that fundamental knowledge and applying it to very practical real-world problems. Now, like I said, that's a broad generalization, and here we have a lot of crossover. People in the School of Engineering often do work on very fundamental knowledge questions, and people in the School of Science often do work on applied problems as well. But I think it's a good starting point to think about what you are interested in terms of moving into a career. So in the School of Science, we have 6 departments, and we offer over 11 different majors within those departments. Most of them are things that you would expect, but we have a few newer ones or ones that are a little bit more specialized than you might find at a typical school. So for example, we have a biochemistry and biophysics undergraduate program. We have a biological neuroscience undergraduate program. We have a computational biology program. We have an environmental science program. We have applied physics, and we have all of the others as well. One of the things that is common across all of those programs is that our students and our faculty are really interested in the topics, the questions that are really pressing needs in today's world. And what that means is that they are typically not just answered by a single discipline. So our faculty do research, they teach classes, and our students work on projects that actually cross disciplines. So we have a lot of students who may have one major, but they're working in a project that's actually on the border between majors. We also have a lot of students who do a dual major between 2 different majors, either within the School of Science or between the School of Science and one of the other schools. Many of our students are actively involved in research. As Dr. Anderson said, we are a research institution. Most of our faculty have active research programs and labs, either wet labs or more computational research groups or theoretical research groups, and all of them actively involved undergraduate students in those research programs. In addition to students who are in the School of Science, we in the School of Science actually interface with everybody across the institution because we have a math and science core. So all students here at Rensselaer, regardless of their major, students in every school have to take at least 20 or 24 credits in math and science, depending on your major. So, so everybody comes to the School of Science for at least part of their education. We also have several accelerated programs for students within the School of Science. On this slide, you have listed the Physician Scientist program, which is a joint program run with Albany Medical College across the river. And this is a 7-year program where students spend the first 3 years here at Rensselaer doing their undergraduate in a version of the biology major. And then they go over to Albany Med and do medical school over there. And this is something that you apply specifically to. We also have an accelerated BS PhD program where we invite the top performing students after their first year to consider applying to start their PhD research early. And this is also a popular program. One of my other colleagues from Lally, Professor Ballinger, mentioned the Coterminal Programs. These are programs where you make arrangements to get a master's while you're still an undergrad. So you apply while you're an undergrad, and then when you finish your undergrad, you move seamlessly into master's work, either in the field that you were a bachelor's student in, or in a different field if you're interested in that. So we have a lot of really exciting opportunities for students while they're here. And Greg, if you could give me the next slide. I just want to tell you a little bit about what our students actually do. So our students in the School of Science, about half of them, after they graduate, they intend to go to graduate school or professional school. They go to medical school. They go to PhD programs in a wide range of fields, and you can see some of the institutions that some of our students have gone to. But the other half of our students actually plan to go directly into the workforce after graduation, and they do well. They have a high median starting salary, and they get jobs in all of these great fields that are great industries, companies that you can see listed here, and a lot more beyond that. As I said, a lot of our students participate in undergraduate research while they're here. You can see this statistic: about 70% of our students actually participate in undergraduate research, and almost the same number have done an internship or co-op somewhere other than at Rensselaer. So so our students get a lot of opportunities, and they do great things. I forgot to introduce myself at the beginning, so I'm going to introduce myself now. My name is Lee Ligon, and I'm a biology professor, but I'm also the associate dean for the School of Science. So I'd be happy to answer any questions at the end. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Lee. That made me chuckle. I didn't even notice you didn't introduce yourself. So I'm glad you did. I'll now invite our second Brian into the panel now to talk about the ITWS program, again, that interdisciplinary program I brought up earlier. Again, while Brian gets on, I see a lot of questions about the Candidate's Choice application versus the Common App. There is no difference in the review process when it comes to the two applications. It really is a preference on which one you'd want to do. Candidate's Choice is going to be our institutional application, tends to be a little bit shorter just because a lot of the information is already filled out for you based on the information we have. And the Common App's great if you're applying to a bunch of schools. So there's no additional part to either. That being said, if you go to a school that uses Naviance, I strongly recommend using the Common App, because then it makes your guidance counselor's life a lot easier to send documents. So there is no difference in the application to us, but I always recommend talking to your college or guidance counselor about what application they would prefer you to use. Because again, our job in the admissions office is to make their job as a guidance counselors easier. So that would be.
Can everybody, Greg, can you hear me? All right, I think I'll take that as a yes. Okay, so hello everybody. My name is Brian Callahan. I'm a faculty member in the Information Technology and Web Science program here at RPI, or ITWS for short. And I too want to congratulate all of you on the amazing accomplishment for the Rensselaer Medal. And I'm also looking forward to seeing a large number of you joining us next year. So I want to take a little bit of time to talk about what ITWS is, how we might be different from maybe some of these other schools that you have heard of, and what you can look forward to if you choose to join us in the ITWS program. So you've heard a lot about interdisciplinary work, right, throughout all my different colleagues who've spoken before me. And so I like to think that ITWS gives us kind of a unique twist on how you may pursue that interdisciplinary work here at RPI. So we offer both a major and a minor in ITWS. And essentially what it is we want to take students and kind of make you kind of a triple threat when you leave RPI, whether you go off into the workforce or decide to continue on with graduate school. The way we do that is we give you an in-depth technical education in all things IT. Right, so there's a good and healthy overlap with computer science here, and a lot of our students are also computer science dual majors. But just thinking within IT itself, that includes things like web design and development. It includes things like informatics, data analytics, data science, cybersecurity, and kind of that sort of area. Then we also combine that with an education in entrepreneurship and management, right? So we also are very fortunate to be able to draw on the expertise of the School of Management that you heard a little bit earlier, to also kind of provide you with those two pillars essentially of academic excellence. And then on top of that, what we do is we make all of our ITWS students choose a kind of third pillar of their education. And this pillar is up to you. So we offer some of these within ITWS itself. We call them concentrations. And these can be things ranging from artificial intelligence to the arts, to data science, to cybersecurity, to machine learning. You could also further your web development or cybersecurity experience if that's the direction that you want to go. If none of our inbuilt concentrations seem interesting to you, you can choose just about any other major within RPI as a whole to focus as your concentration, right? That third pillar of academic excellence. And so I believe at this point we have students who represent, I believe it's every school, not every major, but every school here at RPI, I think except for architecture. So apologies to the architecture department. We will hopefully find a way to combine those two in the future with some of our students. Right, so I know that we have students who are really interested in computer science, and so they end up doing their concentration in computer science. Some are really interested in the management side of things. They do an even deeper dive into management for their concentration. We're also a really good choice if you're looking to dual major. About, I want to say 40-ish%, a little under half of our students are dual majors of some sort. Of our dual majors, about 60% of them, a little bit over half, actually dual major in computer science. Of the remaining 40%, the vast majority of them actually do double major in management. Right, so you can certainly, as your concentration, do a deeper dive into the first two pillars that we give you as kind of the core of ITWS, right? Your IT education and your entrepreneurship and management education. As you can see here on the slide, we are ranked #1 top ITWS program in the United States, which I think is quite wonderful, right, and says a lot, not just to the faculty within ITWS, but I think the faculty of all of RPI and, of course, our wonderful students as well. And Greg, if you could just please give me the next slide. Thank you. So, right, you heard a little bit earlier about how RPI is a great investment in your future, particularly thinking perhaps monetarily. And so this is a slide that I know all the parents like to see. We have excellent job placement and or graduate school plans. The majority of our students end up going directly into the workforce after school, but we do definitely have a healthy amount of students who end up pursuing graduate careers. And also you have heard about Coterm, and we also offer a Coterminal program. And so the way that works within ITWS is, like most other programs, when you continue on, so after your 4 years, you continue on for a 5th year and get your undergraduate bachelor's and your master's degree. But also within ITWS, we let you switch concentrations between your undergraduate and your graduate year if you choose to do Coterm. So let's say as an undergraduate, you decided that you really wanted to do your concentration in, let's say, artificial intelligence. And then you decided as a graduate student, you really wanted to do cybersecurity instead. And so you would actually be able to make that shift between your undergraduate education, that concentration, and then your concentration for your graduate work. And also, as you can see, we have a very high starting salary, right? So our average undergrad salary is about $85,000 a year. We have had salaries reported in the 6 figures before. That is not uncommon. So last year, the highest reported salary starting was $110,000. The highest we've ever had was $140,000. And the reason for this is because our students really do become kind of a triple threat when they leave here to go into the workforce. So you have all that technical skill, you have all that entrepreneurial and business skill, and then you end up having your own unique skill that makes you a unique ITWS person in the workforce. And the businesses out there are really interested in those kinds of students. Part of your core curriculum within ITWS, your junior and senior level courses will be what we call MITRE, Managing IT Resources, and our capstone course, in both of them, you will actually work for a real company, one of these that you see on the screen, likely, or right, we have other companies as well that work with us. And you will actually implement a real project in both of those courses that will really get used in those companies. So not only will you leave here with actual business experience, we'll also leave here with actual tech contacts. And so it's not unusual for our students to leave here and as your very first job be a project manager at a Microsoft or a Facebook or an Amazon, things like that. And so that also helps explain why our salaries can be quite high starting out, which I know all the students like and I know all the parents like as well. Our students are also completely open to do research. We have lots of students, undergraduates, who are engaged with research. Right, most of our faculty within ITWS do have a research program of some sort. We are tied, at least to some degree, to what's called the Daedalus World Constellation, which are a group of researchers who are interested in things like the semantic web, informatics, data analytics, data science. I also do, I run a research program in cybersecurity. So I am also always interested in students who are interested in exploring research having to do with cybersecurity as well. So I think that's it in terms of ITWS. We're a small program, but I like to think that we do the interdisciplinary thing in a way different enough from other schools that we attract the interest of students who want to kind of explore a different way of doing interdisciplinary work at RPI. And once again, I want to just congratulate all of you on your Rensselaer medals, and I look forward to seeing you all in the fall.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I'm going to see, Kurt, if you can try to broadcast again. We definitely want to hit that second slide when we talk about the School of Engineering. And while Kurt tries to connect here, I have a couple of questions that, again, I'll hit. So I got a lot of questions about being test optional this year, if that's going to, if we're really test optional, or if it's a test optional, wink, wink, send in your test scores anyways. We are totally test optional. If you do not send your test scores in, we're not going to review them, and it's not going to affect your admission at all. If you send your test scores in, it'll be part of the evaluation, just like any other document you send in. So if you want to send your SATs in, feel free, but we are test optional, 100% test optional this year for the application process. And then the other, I can see a lot of questions about adding scholarships on top of it. Again, when you have the Rensselaer Medal, that is the highest merit aid award we give at Rensselaer. There, you can receive the need-based aid on top of that, but if you get any outside merit scholarships, you basically just use that to pay the bill that RPI is not paying. So you can get those external scholarships as well. So great. Looks like Kurt's here. I definitely want him to get to the second slide. So Kurt, it's all you. Oh. Kurt, can you hear me? Kurt, can you hear me? You're all set. He might be on a delay. Looks like we lost him again. So I'll hit the engineering because I do want to get to your questions. I want to leave about 40 minutes here for questions. So within the School of Engineering, I'm the School of Engineering liaison in the admissions office as well. So I know more about the School of Engineering than I probably should, as being an admissions staff member, not a School of Engineering staff member. But yeah, about 50% of our graduates either plan to go to graduate school, and close to 100% of our engineering graduates do leave with a job, which is fantastic. Our average starting salary is, again, upwards of $70,000 for that. So it really just depends on kind of your interest and whether you want to go full-time employment or whether you want to go into graduate school. But our programs really set you up nicely within the School of Engineering to be able to do both. Again, very similar to the School of Science, the School of Engineering, a lot of our students do undergraduate research, and it is quite common to participate in undergraduate research in your department or even outside of your department. You don't have to necessarily do research in your area as well. So if you're a mechanical engineer, but you really want to work on robotics, maybe you'll do a research project with someone in electrical engineering. Or if you're an electrical engineering student, you may end up doing some work with someone in computer science. So there's a lot of great options there. And then again, these are some of the companies and schools, graduate schools that our students are going to post-graduation. Stanford, MIT, they're all going to JPL. We have great connections. Dr. Anderson actually has a great connection with NASA. He's working on a project called Oscar, which is a space satellite that's a garbage man that's going to go up into space and collect different pieces of space debris and bring it back into the atmosphere in a safe way. So there's a lot of great opportunities there as well. Now I have Dean Douglas on, so I do want to see if we can skip over to the School of Architecture. I sure can, yes. Awesome. Thank you, Dean Douglas. If you could just mute yourself, I'm going to ask all of the other panelists to come on. And when we guys come on, just mute yourselves. And then I'll kind of direct questions either. We are in the question and answer section, so there are a ton of questions in there. If you've submitted a question already, don't worry, we have it. We'll try to get to as many as we can here in the next 30 to 35 minutes. So, and so I'll hit a couple of areas that were being asked. One is about AP testing. We will take a 5 for the AP testing. As the general idea, there's a full list on the admissions page of exactly what exam we'll take and how those courses will transfer in. So I do recommend taking a look there if you have any questions about AP. I'll do my best to answer the admissions questions because I think Kurt's having some connection issues this weekend, which happens in 2020. Nothing seems to work perfectly. But so what I'll start with this question because it's one of the first questions that we had, and I think it's great for, again, generally for most people to answer. It's about the male to female ratio, gender ratio at Rensselaer, and the question's particular about the School of Engineering, which is about 32% female, just like the institution overall. But if you guys could maybe individually kind of talk about your gender ratio very quickly. So I'll start with Dean Douglas because he's on my left. Yes. Yep. Yeah, perfect. So again, Dean Douglas, your audio's been a little choppy, but you said about 65%? 60 to 65, perfect. Clint, what about Lally? You're muted still. Remember when you come on, you're muted.
Right. I'm not sure about the statistics actually, but yeah, what I've seen, it seems like over the last few years, we've had more and more female students sign up for Lally. We have a lot of female athletes and things like that as well. We have we offer programs across the campus for like business plan competitions and things like that. Those are usually about 50-50. So we get a lot of female entrepreneurial inventor type people coming into our competitions. So that's kind of a cool
Brian,
thing to notice too.
Yes. Start with the Haas thing.
The School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences tends to be at least 50%, upwards to 60% students who identify as female versus male. So we are we kind of waffle back and forth from year to year, but it's between 50 and 60.
Awesome. Lee?
So in the School of Science, much like the School of Engineering, we traditionally had a fairly low percentage of students who identify as female, although it has been increasing every year, and now I think we're up about 35% female students. So, but that really varies from department to department and program to program. And one thing I wanted to mention is that we actually have a lot of groups that are specifically designed to create a sense of community among students, and in particular female students. So we have a women in physics group, we have a women in math group, we have women in computer science groups, so and several others, but those are among the most active groups. So I think that as a science and engineering school, you can't just look at the percentages. We have a particularly supportive environment and community for
Great.
all
And
students of
Brian
all
Callahan.
types.
So I don't actually have the statistics on gender in ITWS, but I do teach the sophomore level class, so I get them all. So I have a good idea of what the statistics are kind of right at that snapshot in time at your sophomore level. I would say we're probably about close to the institute average, maybe a little bit better, maybe something closer to 60-40. But it will also depend on what your concentration is within ITWS. So like different departments, different concentrations also have a different gender ratio. So one of the concentrations that I actually am in charge of, the cybersecurity concentration, we're pretty close to 50-50 of the students within ITWS who have that cybersecurity concentration. So it'll also just depend on where you end up with
this is a question.
ITWS
It's a quick one. Is astrological engineering part of the aerospace? Yes, you will cover that in there. There was a lot of questions about dual majors. So this one again, I'm gonna highlight kind of the general. This one's about engineering because it's when Kurt was presenting about two different engineering disciplines. But if I don't know if Lee, as you do a lot with the curriculum, if you want to talk kind of about the dual majoring and what's the difference between dual majoring and double majoring and all those things. If you could hit that just because of your area of expertise.
Sure. Yeah. So a dual major is where a student meets.
Nope. Did we lose audio on Lee? Did anyone else lose it, or is it just me? Yeah, Lee, we can't hear you anymore. I would recommend refreshing, and I'll start it. So dual majoring is 1 degree with 2 different majors, and a double major is 2 different degrees, each with their own major. A dual major allows crossover. A double major does not. So a dual major is much more common at Rensselaer than the double. So the dual majors, you can go across schools. That's a common question I'm seeing as well. So you can do computer science and ITWS is a quite common one. Computer science, computer systems engineering, cognitive science and computer science. I'm using the computer science ones just because of the ones I know off the top of my head. Electrical and computer systems engineering is another popular one. Whether it's Lally and something in Haas. So there's a lot of options there. You can even do it within the same school. So yes, dual majoring is quite common. Yeah, Brian, hop in.
I do want to add, because so many of you are coming to this from a major that is focused within the School of Engineering and School of Science. If you are interested in a dual major within the School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Science, you can allow for those credits that would be applied toward the dual major to apply to the Haas core. So you can double count in that sense.
Awesome. And then Brian, I'll keep you on as well. This has got a question about the musical groups, and if you have to be a music major to be, or a Haas major to be within the musical groups on campus.
No, we've got all sorts of musical groups, especially this semester. I want to talk about the fusion music ensemble because it's difficult to get everyone into one room, blasting those saxophones and trumpets and clarinets in a confined space. So we were getting quite creative with that, and we have ensembles that are meeting kind of simultaneously in different spaces across campus. At the same time, they are connecting via WebEx to kind of build this fusion of an ensemble. There's a vocal component. So we're doing a lot of really exciting things right now in the fall and in the spring semester to adjust with what's going on. But to answer your question specifically, no, you don't have to be a major. You don't have to be a minor. You can participate in music through private music lessons, which are 1-on-1 with a local musician. You can participate in ensembles, which are, there's a fusion music ensemble this semester, but there's orchestra, concert choir, chamber music, ensemble nonlinear, which is a kind of coding-based computer music ensemble, or you can take courses in music. So lots of different options, but you do not need to be a major. You don't need to be a minor. You can participate in those courses as one-off or in support of your Haas core.
Awesome. And then this one, I kind of want, again, a good chunk of you to answer is, can you describe the atmosphere on campus? Is it competitive? Is it collaborative? So I'll start with Dean Douglas. Awesome. Whoever wants, Clint, if you want to take that next.
Yeah, I think one side effect of COVID maybe, and doing things remotely, hybrid, all that kind of thing, I've seen actually more collaboration. So students, I think, tend to interact with each other very well on WebEx Teams or whatever platform they choose to communicate as a team together and things like that. I've seen a lot more communication with each other. I've seen a lot more communication with other groups and things like that. So I don't know. I think maybe they're all getting used to more communication platforms that are available, which is great because I see lots more interaction with everybody across all my classes
Brian
across
Woods,
campus.
let's go to you next.
Yeah, I think that by nature we are collaborative as a group. I think it's good to be competitive and want to be your best, but I think that we work together. Specifically, games, GSAS as a major, and Design Innovation Society. Those majors are constructed to be team-based in those required courses. So you're going to be working with other students to really get that team-based project, because that's what we find industry is like. So we want you to be able to be a strong student, but you need to know how to work as a team to get the best results.
Brian Callahan.
Yeah, just to completely reiterate what Brian Woods just said, within ITWS, all of your core courses revolve around you being in a group project of some sort, working with your fellow students to accomplish the goals that the businesses have for you. And also within ITWS, when you come in as a first year, you will be assigned a mentor. So we have a mentoring program in which our older students, our juniors and seniors, are mentoring our first years kind of from day one. So that whole collaboration thing is just built in.
And then Lee, I think we have you back
with ITWS.
Yay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I didn't even notice that I was gone. I was just talking away. So I think that what my colleagues have all said is absolutely true. Many of our majors actually have group projects, interactive projects, team projects built into the major. And actually, I would say that almost all of our majors have that built in. So, so our students are sort of by design collaborative. Everybody has in some form or another some sort of capstone project or culminating experience that they work on depending on their major. And in almost every case that involves some sort of collaboration.
Awesome.
With,
got a lot of questions
students.
kind of about ARCH and different experiences. Kids, whether they're limited to co-ops and internships, whether they're limited to a specific geographic area. These are the two that I'm seeing just right here. Lee, if you could start talking about different ARCH opportunities. Is there any restrictions on those? I think you'd be a great person to have start us off.
Sure. Hopefully, I'll still be talking. And you guys have to start waving your hands if I disappear again. So I think that the short answer is that there aren't very many restrictions. There's a huge number of opportunities. I think most people think about their ARCH opportunities first as looking for an internship or co-op, but actually the reality is that people have done all kinds of different things. A lot of students in the School of Science want to do research, and we encourage them to get involved with a research program someplace else, maybe at a national lab, maybe at another institution, maybe at a company. And we think this is actually a really good opportunity for people. A lot of our students also do study abroad or design their own project. We've had some really creative things that people have done. So I think that actually there is there are very few limits. I mean, there are limits in terms of the fact that you actually have to do it. But beyond that, if you have an idea, chances are you can.
Does anyone have
happen.
any cool ARCH experiences that they know that their students have done that they may want to highlight? I think that's something interesting to talk about.
I had a student who did the semester at sea, which I thought was actually really cool. It's kind of like a study abroad program, but basically they're on a ship and they go from port to port. And in every port, they spend like 3 or 4 weeks and they do a little mini class. It's and they're it's through a university. They get actual course credits. So I thought that was actually sounded like a great experience. I wanted
Yeah, absolutely,
to do it.
Douglas. Yeah, go right ahead. Awesome. Anyone else? Any other interesting experiences that students may have had that you may know of? Couple shrugs. We'll keep going then. I'll talk about a lot of these questions too. Again, I have two right back to back. Talk about research opportunities. How easy is it to come up to find research opportunities? What are they involved with? I don't know who wants to hop in on that one. That's kind of can be for anybody.
Why don't I start, and then other people can chime in. Since we put such an emphasis on research in the School of Science, many of our students do research in faculty labs, but we also have research opportunities associated with our various research institutes here and research centers here at Rensselaer. So these are typically beyond just a single faculty member. So, for example, we have the Darren Freshwater Institute up at Lake George and the Jefferson Project, which involves students across disciplines, not just in biology, but also in computer science, in IT, in engineering, and a lot of different disciplines as well. In terms of the ease with which you can get a research position, it really is, we don't give them to students. We allow students to explore their options, and we try to give them lots of opportunities to explore their options. But the student actually is actively involved in seeking out their opportunity and talking to people and finding the right opportunity for them. It's not like you're assigned a research
Brian,
project.
or one of the Brians, Clint, Dean Douglas. Anyone want to talk a little bit about research in their specific areas? Awesome. So I got a lot of these questions too about switching majors, whether it's between schools or between individuals. So I don't know if someone wants to take that about switching majors.
I'll jump in. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So switching majors
go ahead, Brian.
is after you apply, and if you're admitted, that's something that can be taken care of through the admissions office prior to the first day of school. But if you were thinking of switching your major or adding a dual major, once the school year starts, that's something that you would work with. There are advising hubs in every school, and you can go into the hub or meet with us virtually and connect with you and the faculty member advisor that you need to do that. It's a fairly straightforward process. It's a really straightforward process. We talk about having low walls once you're admitted to campus. So we really try to work with you to make it so that if you're interested in dual or if you're interested in switching majors based on your interests, we work with you to make that possible. But it's low walls once you get here. We have advising hubs that will work with you to make sure you can do it easily.
Clint, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything Brian said. It's pretty low lift for that. So the low walls, low barrier for that. One of the things that I've seen is that a lot of times students will be getting a minor in something and then become more interested in that than their original major. So that's kind of a nice way to sort of dovetail into
we have a lot of questions too. I can't find any right now, but about taking classes outside of your major and whether that has to be part of a minor, or if you can just take a one-off course here, one-off course there, that's totally possible. So again, if you are a biology major and you're really, again, maybe you're like Clinton, you're thinking, maybe I want to start my own business one day, getting some of that foundational accounting or marketing might be beneficial. So you can take those one-off courses if you would like. So again, it really is, those low walls is kind of that's the key phrase we use.
And all students in all majors have to have at least 12 credits that are totally unplanned. We call them free electives. So no matter what your major is, you get to choose at least 3 classes totally unrelated to your major. They can be related to your major, but you have the choice. And most majors have a lot more than those 3 classes. They have, 6 or 8 classes.
Awesome.
Some majors are a little bit more
restricted. Is the medal restricted to just STEM majors? Absolutely not. It's any program on campus. So again, and you're a Rensselaer Medalist for life. So once you've been given this award, again, if you go and you do 2 years at a community college for financial reasons, or you're not ready to move away from home, and you're ready and you want to come in as a junior, as a transfer student, you're still a Rensselaer Medalist. You'll still get that $30,000 a year scholarship, which is really great. Again, it goes across all programs. Again, with the architecture program, that BARC, it's 5 years, so it's actually an additional $30,000. If you do our Coterm program, which is what I want to hit next, and you do that 5th year, that'll, again, that $30,000 stays for that 5th year in the Coterm program. So I can't find the question. I'm sure Meg has answered it in the chat, but I definitely want to answer it kind of out loud here, talking about Coterm opportunities. When do students apply for those? Is there any restrictions on specific programs? If you're an engineering program, can you go get a master? Can you get an MBA? If you're a business student, can you go get something in, psychological sciences? What if someone could kind of hop in and talk about that?
I'll give it a try real quick. So we get a lot of co-terms that are getting MBAs or masters in business analytics and coming from engineering and science and things like that. So we do get a lot, and architecture too. We had a really great student just last semester doing that. So yeah, pretty easy. The earlier you could decide to do it, the better. But you can switch, probably senior year even and decide then. But yeah, we encourage you to try to make that decision as early as possible. It just makes your schedule a lot more streamlined if you do that.
One thing I do want to mention, even though you can take a coterm in a different program than your BS is in, you do still have to have some of the prerequisites. So a master's degree is a graduate degree, and so if the graduate degree requires that you take upper level courses, if you don't have the prerequisites for those upper level courses, then you're going to be hard pressed to actually do the coterminal masters in a reasonable amount of time. Most students don't have any problem with this, but as Clint was saying, it's best if you sort of plan early, because you can kind of make your plans
and use those
make
free
sure
electives, for example. Yeah, Ryan, go right ahead.
Yeah, I did want to mention that. I think the institute deadline is in the beginning of the senior year first semester, but I know that the School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences, we have a deadline of the end of January of your junior year. So certainly junior year is when you want to start to think about that. And that goes to not only just the application process, but as Clint and Lee have mentioned, that it really allows you to plan what coursework you might take in your junior and senior year that could either prepare you for that master's program or allow you to start taking some of those graduate level courses early. So you can do both of those. And this just makes me think about the kind of connecting to one of the earlier questions about gender equality. We have a new coterm program in critical game design, which is kind of the logical next step of the games program, the undergraduate games program, that looks at a lot of systemic issues in the gaming industry, for example, like gender and racial inequality, and focuses the efforts not just on developing game and simulations to address that, but also like who is game for, and how can we address some of these issues. It's not always going to be fun games like you might think on your PlayStation, but how can simulations address some things like issues of gender, issues of race in our society today. So I did want to make that quick pitch for the critical game design program.
Awesome. And then we got a few more minutes here. I got a couple questions about kind of a pre-health program. Lee, I know being in the School of Science, could you kind of talk about the pre-health program? This one is referring to the a physical therapy program. So that if students are able to kind of go pre-health there, and so could you kind of talk about that for a quick second?
Yeah, so we don't have an official pre-med major. We have a pre-health advising committee, which actually will help you navigate all of the different pre-health requirements. We've had students who want to go to dental school, physical therapy, physician assistant, things like that. But you can actually do that with any major. One of my favorite examples was a physics major who went to medical school, because you don't really necessarily think of physics majors as being planning for medical school, but there's basically a list of courses that you would need to take. Now, in terms of physical therapy, there are some courses that we actually that you may need that we don't actually offer, like anatomy. We actually don't have an anatomy class. A lot of our students take anatomy at Hudson Valley Community College, which is, I don't know, not very far away. And students are allowed to do that. There's a cross-registration program where you can take classes at all of the neighboring or nearby schools if they're not offered at Rensselaer. So students have done that for those types of classes. But typically, if you want to go to medical school, dental school, vet school, those kinds of professional programs, you can take everything that you would need to take here at Rensselaer. It's just some of the more specialized ones you would.
Yeah, Hudson Valley is, I think, 3 miles from campus. It's just on the other side of Troy, just south of us in Troy. So there you go.
And right now you can take those classes online.
So this is a kind of a good one. Again, I'm sure this is going to be a longer answer because I'd like all of you to answer it. And I'll start with engineering specifically. We get a lot of questions about kind of what's the class style. Kind of are they lecture based, are they project based, are they discussion based? And I know within the School of Engineering it really depends on the program, or it depends on the class specifically. Most of the core classes are going to have some sort of a project, but you're also going to have the lectures. You have to learn the things in the lecture before you can do the things in the project. So again, it's going to be a little bit of a combination of both. And again, it will depend on the classes. But again, we'll kind of have each school talk about it individually. So Dean Douglas, if you'd like to get started. Awesome. And then before I hit it off to Clint, this question was about are all classes taught by faculty? And the answer is yes. It's a school-wide policy that all classes must be taught by faculty. So 100% of the material taught is going to be by the smart people, which is great. So I'll pass it off to Clint next.
Thanks. Yeah, so the style, of course, every professor has their own different style for their own different class. But in general, the business school, it's not like a math class where the answer is 5. It's very strict. Business school, we try to see how the student thinks. So it's more along the lines of case studies and things like that, where you're actually looking at real life examples and then explaining to the rest of the class or the professor what was your logic, what was using the tools that we give you in class and a lecture, put those to practice and show us the steps you came up with to come to that conclusion for looking at some business case, for example. So that's sort of the typical. So lectures to give you tools, then you're armed with those to go off and apply those to different situations in the business world.
So yes, you certainly don't want to see me at the front of the room at the start of an aeronautical engineering course. That plane is not going to fly. So, but yes, so Haas courses, we are all sorts of modalities, whether it's lecture based, a course like general psychology. You're gonna be in that course with about 300 other people. Same thing with our introductory level economics course, as well as micro and macro. So those are going to be large courses to support a lot of students in those programs. But we also have small seminar-based courses, lots of project-based courses, things like computer science and creative writing. That's the C word that I'm looking for. Creative writing and a lot of our studio-based arts courses will be no more than 19 students in it. So Haas, you get the full spectrum of offerings. So I want to just paint that picture that if you want that small, intimate setting with your peers, with faculty, you'd be able to get that. But if you're interested, you do better in large lecture opportunities. Those exist as well.
Brian Callahan.
ITWS is a intensely hands-on program. So the general structure of all of our ITWS courses is, let's say we meet twice a week, first day we meet that week will be a very intense kind of theory-laden lecture. and then we will immediately turn around the very next class and say, okay, go code a thing, right, using this theory, and right, we're here to guide you through it. Or if it's a more management-based course, right, let's talk about some case studies similar to what you might do actually in the business school. So even though our class sizes may kind of vary wildly, you can have as many as 60 in a class and as few as maybe a dozen. We still kind of follow that model for all of our courses, where we kind of give you theory and then kind of will guide you into actually implementing
awesome. And then
that
Lee,
theory.
if you want to get a quick answer for me as we want to wrap up in a couple of seconds here.
Yeah, I actually just want to wrap this up with the question about who instructs people, professors or TAs, because actually this is really an important distinction. As Greg said, 100% of our courses are led by faculty. However, we have a lot of teaching assistants who actually, and mentors who actually spend additional time doing discussion sections and problem-solving sections. And so in the School of Science, even those large classes have extra sessions for working on problems or having discussions. So so even the big lecture classes almost always have a
Awesome.
more
so
intimate
that's a good place to wrap
well.
up. Well, the next session starts in about 3 minutes at 1:45. So I'll wrap up here. I want to thank our panelists. I apologize that we weren't able to connect properly with Kurt for more than a few minutes. Again, I hope you saw in the chat, there are a ton of questions we weren't able to get to just because you guys are asking lots of great questions. So please email me if you have any questions. That's